Hi, Jordy here. I am showing off my new, my wife's new, and my new pressure canner, the Mirro 22 quart pressure canner. I am voicing over this video because I recorded it in the middle of the night and basically the whole house was already asleep. I didn't want to wake anybody up. So I'm doing the voicing the next day. I really love the seal, the gasket that it has. It's not a rubber gasket. The rubber gaskets have problems. They don't last very long. They get out of shape. This one is a silicone gasket. It also has a little plugger on the bottom of the lid so that you don't get too much crud up in the vent pipe, which is great. It's got two little canning spacers, canning racks, which is awesome, so you can have more than one layer of jars going at once. It's got a nice little how-to guide with some recipes and a basic functional user's manual with a lot of good info in it. Now this Mirro canner, it has three different weights. It's got jiggler weights, so there's no dial gauge. There's three different jiggler weights. One of them is for 5 pounds, one is for 10, and one is for 15. Generally, all of your pressure canning is going to be with 10 pounds, sometimes 15, sometimes 5 is used. These don't go on quite the same as the ones I'm used to. You have to push them down a little bit because they have a little spring in there so that you don't bump them off. They don't fall off on accident. So you got to push them until they click and then just wait for them to start wiggling. That's how you know that you have your pressure up. When you do have these things running, you want to turn down the heat. Once the jiggler weight starts jiggling and wiggling around a little bit and steam coming out of it, you go ahead and turn that down to just as low as you can so that there's still steam coming out and they're still wiggling a little. The pot itself is, it's pretty heavy duty. It's got a really nice look to it. I mean, it looks fancy. So my wife likes the looks of it, although I'm sure we're going to dirty it up and bang it up pretty well here. Now, why don't I can something and show you how good this thing's operating. Give it a test run here tonight. It's about midnight at this point, but I'm canning, so why not? It'll take about an hour and a half for this whole process. So let's put a jar in there. Canning some pork here. This was an unruly pig that wouldn't stay in its pen, so we took it out early, and I'm canning up a bunch of pork from it. It's pretty pretty simple to use this thing. If you're not familiar with canners, that's all right. The process is just filling up your jars, keeping everything nice and clean, and then you're using the heat that it creates to pasteurize and to create a seal in the jar. Pressure canners get a higher internal temperature than just a regular pot of boiling water can due to the pressure, so the temperature inside is increased. That's the only way you can increase the temperature of hot water. The max temperature of boiling water is when it's under pressure. Now I got those filled. Let's go ahead and make some broth out of these bones, and I'll get that going on the side. And this is in my which canner is this? That is my 6-quart Presto canner, which I love them. It's technically more of a pressure cooker. It's a little small for a pressure canner, but it can work. We're going to get a big batch of super thick bone broth in there. Usually I'll do approximately a gallon of water to start, and I'm going to put that in there I'm going to let it pressurize for 30 minutes. Now you can see that weight is jiggling and wiggling. It's going a little harsh, so I'm going to turn the heat down on my stove. The other weight will jiggle just like that when it's pressurized, and that's when you start your timing on processing. My big canner is going to pressurize for about my big canner is going to be under pressure for 60 minutes once it gets there. 60 minutes at 10 pounds for a quart jar in my altitude. Alright, go ahead and dump this out. Take a look at that broth, and I'll get my meat off of those bones. Even on a small animal, I can always get another 1 or 2 servings worth of meat off of the bones if I just boil them up good. You get a lot of extra protein even that you can seep out from the bone marrow and all the cartilage that boils off of those bones as well, which makes a much thicker, more delicious bone broth. And just work on that a little bit. just pulling off a little meat off of those bones. I always do it much more thoroughly than my wife does. I'm fussy about not wasting like that. But every scrap of that, those bones are actually, because they were pressure cooked, they are great to put in the garden or to give to our chickens. They'll peck at them. They're real soft because they've been cooked. They'll peck at them and get some good calcium out of them. It breaks down a lot easier. Got a nice pile of calcium there. Got a nice pile of pork in that bowl. And a nice bit of broth. 2 big jars and a little jar of super rich, heavy gelatinous bone broth. That's going to be like Jello when it cools. Alright, get some lids on there. That's just going to go in the fridge. I'm not going to bother canning those at the moment. The canner's already running. A nice, healthy, happy serving of pork. Let's see, the canner is finished. Here's everything all together. What do you think? Not bad, eh? Well, like always, thanks for watching. I've got chores to do, so I'll catch you later. Bye now.